we've got more Premier League action coming up this weekend, and that means our prediction show is here once again. Going to be doing everything right until the end of the season. We've been pretty solid in beaten times, Victor, and this weekend we have like good picks, good games, and interesting ones. Actually, I don't envy us because this weekend is actually pretty difficult to predict. But regardless, what are your best straight win picks?
Yeah, I do have a couple of outrights. I'm looking at Liverpool to beat Fulham. It's a bit on the long side. Odds wise, it's at around 183 thereabouts. But yeah, if you consider Liverpool's form, it's understandable that it's a bit long and also being an away game. But if you look at Fulham, they're very inconsistent at home. I think we mentioned this earlier this week. They're very much a yo-yo team at home. Three losses, two wins in their last five alternating results. So I'm going with Liverpool for this one. Another outright is Spurs to beat Southampton. This one's quite short. This one's at 138. But I think like Spurs, yeah, sure, they're bad, but there's no way Southampton gets anything out of this.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Leicester versus Newcastle. Newcastle are priced at 148 to win, and I feel like it's a bit high. I feel like it's a bit overpriced. But to be honest, I could even consider going with a handicap on this one because Leicester are just they're letting in too many. And I think a handicap might not be too bad of an idea here.
Yeah, fair enough. For me, also going with the Newcastle game. I think, just like you said, I think it's actually overpriced, and I think Newcastle should be able to win that one. I'm also going with Arsenal, not because I'm an
Hmm.
Arsenal fan, but because I think Arsenal should be able to grind out a win against Everton. I mean, Gabriel is out of the season, but
Yeah,
Bukayo Saka is also back. So I think Arsenal, they should be happy about their corner kicks routine, at least with Saka back in the squad. And
yeah,
bold pick, sort of, is not really bold, but Bournemouth are actually going through a rough run of form at the moment. I think they are without a win in about 6 or 7 games now. But I think they will beat West. I think they will beat West Ham, and it's priced at 2.41 odds, which is
okay.
actually 2.41 odds. But I think Bournemouth will be able to beat West Ham away from home, in my opinion. Yeah,
Yeah, that one does sound long.
yeah, it does sound long, but yeah, I think it's doable, in my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, moving on to the goal market, Victor. What do you have in mind for over or unders or anyone?
Yeah, so I'm visiting Tottenham versus Southampton again for over 2.5. It's at 140. So as we know, both teams are quite poor in defense, right? And the difference is that Spurs are also decent going forward, and Southampton had found a very rare goal scoring touch. They've actually managed to score in all of their last three games. So I think there's a solid chance that we get three goals in this one. Even if somehow Southampton don't score, I think we still get three. Another one is United versus City. It should be good for over 2.5 as well. It's at 1.66, which again sounds a bit long to me. Um, they do have a history in terms of scoring in direct meetings against each other. Actually, all of the last nine head-to-heads, they featured three or more goals, and I can see this continuing here. And lastly, I'm looking again at Leicester versus Newcastle. With pretty much the same logic as for Tottenham versus Southampton. Even if Leicester don't score, Newcastle should be able to get three goals in. But it might be that Vardy or I'm looking at El Canus as well as a potential scorer. They might get Leicester on the board in this one.
Yeah, fair enough. Those are pretty solid picks. For me, I have just three games as well for the over 2.5. And my first one is Villa v Nottingham Forest, mainly because I think
Mm.
both sides will definitely score, and one side might outscore the other. And the second one is West Ham v Bournemouth. Bournemouth, for all of their attacking prowess, their defense has been shaky in recent weeks. So I think West
Yeah.
Ham too would definitely get on the score sheet and could even score two goals if possible. And my third pick is Fulham v Liverpool. Also for the same logic, I think Liverpool probably win, but Fulham will get on the score sheet. They'll be able to score maybe one goal, and Liverpool might win 2-1 or 3-1 or something, and we'll see at least three goals. Yeah,
Okay.
so moving on now to the goals and the guys banging in the goals, Victor. What do you have in mind for the goal scorers?
Well, for the last two match days, I've been picking Strand Larsen for Wolves, and he's repaid me, so to speak. And I'm going with him again. And the logic behind it is they're playing against Ipswich. Wolves is playing against Ipswich. He's got 3 goals in the last 2 games, and this time around he's still priced long. He's still priced at 260. Um, I think it's a no-brainer. It's definitely worth a punt. Another one is Jacob Murphy for Newcastle. They're playing away against Leicester. This one's at 3.25, and he's been shooting more again. Like his shooting prowess reminds us of December again, which was his most prolific month. He scored 4 times in that month, and he's been shooting in the last 2 games, kind of reminding us of December a little bit. And I think it's worth a punt at these odds, 325. It's definitely up there. The third one is is actually also a Newcastle player. I'm looking at Isak. 2.05, just you cannot leave it off your slip. At these odds, he's been great in front of goal this season. Okay, he's got 20 goals in 30 games. For the Premier League, these are really good numbers. Especially given that the defenses in the Prem are much better than on the continent, and I think he's good for a goal against Leicester.
Fair enough. And for me, I have five picks. And
Wow.
surprisingly, I'm also going with Isak because, I mean, just like you mentioned with Larson, Isak has repaid me most of the times I picked him. And I think I'm still going to go with him. The obvious name again is Salah, and I mean, I think against Fulham, the fact that I like picking Salah because even on a day where he could be quiet by his own standards, Liverpool could get a penalty, and then since
Yeah.
he's the one taking it, then he has a chance to score. So Salah always makes sense. And going by the same logic, I'm going with Bukayo Saka back in the squad for us now. Scored after 7 minutes on his return, and I think he'll be eager to get in on the goals as well. So, with no designated striker, I think Saka will be eager to take more shots, and I think he could get something against Everton. Then my next pick is Mamouche against United with no Haaland. Mamouche is, it's a focal point. It scored last time out, and I think he'll be in the mood to, score some more goals, especially against a woeful United defense. And my final pick is Delap. He also scored in the last game week, and Ipswich are taking on Wolves. Wolves are not the best defensively as well, and Delap should be able to probably he could be able to get something in that one. So those are my five picks: Salah, Isak, Saka, Mamouche, and Delap. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
moving on.
considering Marmoush as well, actually, to be honest,
Yeah.
but I just feel like there's so much threat in there in City's front line. I found it hard to pick just one.
Yeah, fair enough. You could go for Mamouche. You could easily go for Savinho as well. You could go for anyone. So
Yeah.
yeah, I can see that. So yeah, moving on, Victor. Do you have any same game tips?
Yeah, so I'm quite proud of my builder from the last round. It was City versus Leicester, a three-liner, and it landed. This time I'm going with only two lines. So I'm going with Villa versus Forest for a builder, and I'm going with over 1.5 goals for Villa. This one's 1.83, and I'm going with BTTS 1.6 or 1.61. Overall, it should be around three. The odds for this. I think it's a riskier one than the one from the last round, even though that one had three lines, this one only has two. But the odds are a bit higher, and while I do feel like the over 1.5 goals for Villa might be a bit on the optimistic side, they have been scoring a lot. They have a lot of threat going forward. If you look between Rogers and Watkins and Asensio and Rashford, they should be able to get two goals against pretty much any side, you know. And I'm feeling quite confident about it.
Yeah, fair enough. So, do you have any bold opportunity to take advantage of?
Actually, not one but two. So I'm considering over 2.5 for Ipswich versus Bournemouth. I think you mentioned it as well, and I think both teams have been better in front of goal lately, even though results-wise they're still not very good. But it's priced at 2.10 for over 2.5. It's awfully long, and you mentioned the lap, and Bournemouth still have a lot of threat with Evan Nilsson, with Justin Kluivert's penalty record and everything in between. I think it should be good for three goals. And the second one, and this one you might not like, it's actually, I don't know. I think Arsenal are not going to keep a clean sheet against Everton. I just don't see that happening. And especially now, Gabriel's out for the season. It makes things even harder for them defensively, you know. And I'm looking at Iliman Ndiaye to score or assist for Everton because the odds are at 3.75. Um, Given that he's pretty much Everton's creative force and midfield catalyst, he's also one of their main, if not their main, penalty taker. It just makes sense, you know. A punt on this at 3.75, it just makes sense to me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Actually, for me, I did not really see a lot of opportunities to take advantage of, but I
Okay.
think Bournemouth would score at least two goals, and Rashford would either. I think Rashford is going to score or assist against Nottingham Forest. Rashford, I think, is going to do that, and for some reason, I think Brentford with Chelsea would see up to four goals. Brentford with Chelsea will see up to four goals. I think it's going to be a very chaotic game. And if we are to judge by anything we saw from Sanchez in the last game, we could see a lot of goals in this one. So yeah, those are my bold picks for the Premier League match week 31. It's actually a very tricky week in terms of
Yeah.
predictions. It's not really straightforward, you know. You have to crack in deep, but regardless, we've done our homework, we've given our predictions, and explained why we think this will happen as usual. And of course, we'll be here to discuss all our results in our next edition of our prediction show. Until then, bye for now.